topics, hopefully there will go some details. The immigration topics, I think it's more question and answer section. And also the next one will be followed by discussions on wills and trusts. So hopefully you'll learn a few things on that one and follow up with them if you have any deep questions. Pradeep, you can come on the stage. Ram.
But good news is we don't have any slides, so no class happened. But every good news follows with something bad. One more topic which we have today is like it's a little serious concept. I want to like explain where we are after immigration. Like, what worry problem we have as a community. Secondary to immigration. You all know. So the next topic. Let me introduce myself. I'm from immigration. This is Attorney Bharat. We both are attorneys. I practice immigration. Attorney Bharat practices immigration. I'm also a member of Health Council, and I do estate planning and wills and trust for selected clients. When I say selected clients, it's not about high value or network clients, but I just give my time to the people who know that their life is very invaluable. I mean, like how precious their life is. That is when I want to like help them out and like do something in place. So the topic is open. Firstly, if we have anything for the immigration concerns, that we are available. If not, I can go on to trust and wills. Whichever is better. The option is yours. Yeah. However you want us to proceed, you will start. If you pick immigration, if you have any questions, or you want to think about your questions and like get back to that topic after a while, then I'm open to that. If you want to like talk more about wills and trusts, I'm ready to that as well. Okay. Sure. So we'll come back to the immigration part later as a topic. But let me like just give a brief description as to what the will is and what the trust is. So will is a person's legacy, like it's planned for his legacy. When a person dies, that is when the instrument comes into picture. So usually like people tend to write their wills when they are age of 60 or 65. That is a trend we have seen. And trust is something subsidiary to will, I can say. Will comes into play, and after will, like what happens is you devise a will, then you will go ahead and register. And once we die, then it has to go through the probate process. Now what the probate is? Probate process is like it takes about 18 months. They just go register the will. They start. You will have to hire an attorney for the probate. Then the attorney registers with the court, and then they take the date, and then the court has to consider like various factors. They have to see like if you owe any money to anybody, like mortgages or your utility thing, anything. Apart from that, if you are supposed to like lend some money or something, so they would have to investigate various factors. So there are various steps in the probate. So once they get the date, then the next thing would be they would have to like check. We call it as an inventory check. It's just like a laundry list. Anything above worth of like $200 to $500, it has to be recorded in the inventory list. So all the things will have to be recorded in the inventory list, and the court reviews them, and based on your will, they try to have an administrator who would administer the process. Like if you have left a will, then it would say that okay, this is the will and you are with this so and so property to go to so and so and things like that. Based on that, the court will allow the administrator to distribute the property. Now what happens with the trust? Trust is a shortcut where people try to avoid probate process. Like not all the properties can be avoided as probate, but at least major part like your income or it could be your savings or any bonds or so on. It could be devised in a trust. What happens in a trust is generally like you try to advise, write a trust for yourself, saying that all this property belongs to the trust. You would be like handling the trust until the death. But then, basically what happens is like once you die, then the trust starts taking. There you can avoid the probate, which is for 18 months. And there are various things which can be included in trust, like guardianship, then the child protection, and monthly maintenance for children. Because when the probate starts, it takes 18 months, and you don't know what happens to your child at that time. So basically, when it comes to trust, that is an advantage. But not all property can go into the trust. I mean, like there are some things which has to be come into the will. So usually there are two theories. People believe that it is will-based planning is good. People believe that trust-based planning is good. Now the problem for us is not when we die. The recent things like I do receive calls from various people when I'm practicing immigration. They come up with various scenarios, especially when somebody is doing really well. They suddenly become incapacitated. They might, they cannot earn, because sometimes people have very weird kind of, not weird, but then very special kind of medical issues, which will not allow them to have the same quality of life which they had before. So what we all, as a community, need to plan for is an incapacity planning just in case, because will and trust is like the next level. I won't even force somebody who's not interested in doing that. But then at least basic things which we need to have is like incapacity planning. When I say incapacity planning, then I would recommend every individual to have something as financial power of attorney, which gives you a leverage to opt or have somebody as a representative when there is an issue to deal with your finances. Say supposing somebody is undergoing a major surgery, cardiac or whatever. The recuperation time, that is, I could say, recovery time would be, say, at least 3 to 4 months. If everything goes well, the person is safe, then they would make their own decisions. But sometimes we should expect that there might be some negative outcomes of the surgery. So what happens then? Like your own friends, your own spouse cannot call banks. Sometimes they don't issue certain things. If they want to sell your vehicles, you can't do that. I mean, it's very difficult when you have to sell a vehicle without a owner. Be it your own spouse, be it my own child. It could be very difficult. So these are the things which you put in financial power of attorney. Now the next thing is healthcare power of attorney. When I go to a hospital, they make me sign all kinds of consent forms. They would give me an authorization, they would say that, okay, these are the authorizations I'm making. They cannot share this information or medical information with your spouse or anybody. Or sometimes they give an option as that, your important information can be shared with your spouse, but not the third-party medical provider. So that is another challenge, because what if your spouse wants to approach any third-party healthcare provider on her own or on his own when somebody is sick? We do want the best things for our spouse or our children or family. So at that point, when they want to approach or even they want to make some decisions, some things cannot be taken care at that point. That doesn't allow them to do because of various factors, like the privacy rights or something. So if a person has incapacity plan, then we usually recommend to have a healthcare power of attorney, the financial power of attorney in place, so that at least when these things strike the family, it's not a surprise. We can't take things for granted, but at least we are prepared. So these are the documents which I recommend that as a community we all should have, because immigration is done. We come from faraway places, we left our home country, then we are here. The struggle is over. At least most of us are having jobs, settled, married, having kids, you bought homes and things. But then you also need to plan as to if something strikes, then it should not be a disaster, and your own friends or your own people cannot do anything for you at that point. Recently, I came across a very sad story which I wanted to share with you, because just to make sure that you understand how important the thing is for us. I had an acquaintance who came from India 10 years back, and they both were, the husband and wife were the both were good employees. They were working with Ericsson and they were happy. I mean, they had, like all of us, they had kids, they had everything. They just had to drop their older kid in class, and then they were walking by, or they were just driving actually. They were driving, and then they met with an accident. Both the husband and wife died. The older kid was taken to India because he cannot be left here. No guardian. The court doesn't give guardianship to everybody. Even the closest of your friends don't get that. So then there is no family here because immediately the grandparents are always in India. Most of us, that is what happens. So the younger kid was luckily in India already. He was incapacitated by birth. He is in India still. So their bank accounts are freezed because there is no probate which was filed for almost a year. There was an accident attorney whom good friends just tried to hire and tried to sue on the wrongful negligence thing. But then the process still continues. Then the family approached me and I was like, I am the PC attorney for the probate proceedings which are still ongoing in California. But then there's nothing much I can do because every time I have to go there, I have to fly from here to California, so it's very difficult to coordinate. Then, this kind of scenario when it comes up, then we understand how vulnerable the situation is. Especially every day, as a mother, when I step out of the house, I make sure if my kids have enough things to do with, their activities. 100 times I would call nanny and tell them, okay, this is what they're supposed to do, this is what they're supposed to eat. Are the diapers there? Are the wipes there? Laundry list. When husband leaves the home and he goes or travels, he makes sure that, okay, these are the things you have, and this is the bank balance you have, these are the things, okay, everything is good, then we would ensure. Now, suddenly if a disaster strikes us, then we are left nowhere. So, as as a request to the community, it is not as an attorney or something, but I request all of you to have something in place so that we all are secure. We don't want to hear sad stories because we spend so much on gadgets, so much on everything, and we are supposed to be the smartest people, right? All the IT folk. So we know what is good. So you all try to protect. I'm an offshoot. I practice for ILBSG, but we have an offshoot law firm which is Let's Not Law Practice, which is into the probate and the estate and trust. So I do offer 1 week free service for any of the people who are in the agency to come, and so that we can plan ahead and try to devise set of documents. But all others, it's open and I'm here. So this is what I want to inform about the trust and things. Now let's leave the maroon topic. Let's come back to immigration. If you have any questions, we are here to help you on immigration. Traditional system, trust is they started recently, the theories are, I cannot really say that will is bad or trust is bad, but what we can do is try to plan something viably with some property like digital assets, copyrights and other things can be included mostly in trust rather than including them in will or something. And other properties, sometimes most of us or majority of them are citizens or something, for them, they have properties even abroad. So for them, they can have something which is called pour-over bill. That is, anywhere they have, all assets would be included in the bill, and that bill is again included in the estate planning trust. So that idea is the family can live and survive, and they get their regular maintenance and whatever monthly income without the probate process. At least they can survive without us. So that is an idea, but there is nothing as a concept as open will or open trust because it has to be a mixture of both in the right combination. And whatever you are devising, it has to be carefully planned, carefully designed because it's a big instrument. We only know the repercussions once it's in place, once it is open for the process.
You talked about in
Planning, right? Yes.
So is that a step one towards wills and trusts?
least those are basic documents. Incapacity planning, I would say, is a basic kind of a device or instrument, because that helps a family to have. Like, it doesn't come into picture when a person dies. Wills and trusts comes only when the person is. That's the last stage of life. But this is in between. Somebody goes into coma. One of my clients had brain surgery. So there was a high probability. She's all good now. But when we were drafting, that thing was in my mind. Like, what if this person goes into coma? What if she doesn't come alive? So, when you plan for incapacity, it is something that way. You are in a vegetative state, or you are not able to make your own decisions. That is when the incapacity planning comes into picture. At least it allows the family to sell the car, pay off the bank mortgage. Sometimes you might have money in the bank. You want to pay the mortgage. You want to completely pay off. When the owner is not here, sell that and the bank will not allow other person to come and pay. You are not the owner. They cannot give you a title document. What happens? I have money. I don't get interest, but I'm not able to pay. So at least these kind of documents, which I call the financial power of attorney, it gives a step 1, 2, 3, like at least directions that the person can do certain things. So that will help. That is step 1. I always say that is step 1, because at least if the person doesn't have it, it is good. What happens is at max, they don't have it, so it has to go to the court, and the court has to do the probate and other process. That will take some time, but there's no other choice. But at least these documents, if they are in place, then at least healthcare decisions can be made, financial decisions can be made, and yeah, that's how it is.
Difference between girls, will it allow us to have international property outside US?
Yeah, that's where immigration comes into play. So what happens is, like, anybody can have a will device, especially if a person is non-immigrant, say who is on H1B, and that kind of a scenario, then at least the property which they own here, that is subject to the will and subject to the court jurisdiction of Illinois courts. When the person is like having other property in India, then they don't have to have something as a court over will. But at least the property which is situated in here, those things can be taken care of in the will itself. So there is a demarcation. The person who is US citizen, the spouse, and other taxation things also come into picture, the state tax and GST taxes and things. But that's like a little lengthy process, and it's in-depth topic as such. At least to start with, we should be aware as a community that we need some kind of documents in place.
I would say there are a lot of friends who are H1B, and they will not have any property in US.
They might not have any property, probably they might have own car, or somebody who is new, they might have got their home newly. Then they might mostly have bank accounts, but they have PODs. Then the other things are like insurance and other things taken care by the employer. But even then, probably they would still need, there are people who would need financial power of attorney and things, if not the will, because those things will help at least the friends and the nearest families to come up with some other alternative just in case they are having an issue.
So once we sign up, these things they need to maintain by the agency or like you, and then you have to approach. No, once we give all this details, so it will be maintained with you, and then we have to approach whoever has to come and approach you, or it is somewhere online that somebody can go and refer and check. If the family members or friends need to identify, was this given, how do they come to know whether that person has really done something?
So the process starts with, like any attorney would start the process this way. They would have a questionnaire for you to fill out. Then they would have a design meeting set up with you. The design meeting, you will go over as to your concerns as a parent or as a family, both you and the spouse. Like, you would list out all the things which you have in the questionnaire, but the attorney will just go through and ask you like various questions. They are like almost 50 questions. That's why I call it as a design meeting, because every aspect, minute aspect will be taken care at that point. So that is what they basically design. They want your will and your concern as to particular topic, whether like, for example, who the guardians should be there, and who should be the guardians for your children, like A, B, C. Just in case nobody is there, who should be there? Then who should take the financial decisions? So those kind of things will be dealt with. And then once the design process is done, that is when the attorney will be explaining you as to how the trust or a will or any other like incapacity plan would look like. And then once that is done, then the Illinois law requires, it doesn't require it to be notarized, but I usually as a practice notarize that, commission it in front of 2 witnesses. And then, like, we will give you the original copy to keep with you, probably you could put it in a safe deposit or something. And the names of guardians which you mentioned in there, you would let them know that, okay, this is what happens, you are the guardian, so just be aware. At least the guardians know if something happens, they are supposed to go approach. Then, for me, what I do is, like, I maintain these documents for 7 years. Usually people maintain it for 5 years, but to be on safe side, I maintain it for 7 years. We have our own portal. I have Simple Law, so that is where I will just go store these documents electronically. So for every 7 years, you would just have to, because like, it's not a plan or a device. Just in 7 years, there might be major changes. You might have got a new home. There might be a new addition into the family, new kid. Then you might have, to be very optimistic, maybe you would have won $1 lottery. We don't know. So, later other information has to be stored in there. So we just try to revise, see if everything is in place. Every year we would just like probably call and find out if the information is same or we want to revise or something. Or you could also like approach us and say that okay, these are the new things should be included. So those things can be reinstated and then just make an amendment to that. So that's how it is supposed to be stored that way. It's not that once I wrote the will and then it's done. No. Then no additions are made. So only the things which are covered in the will, those will be like taken care of. Or only which were covered in the incapacity plan, those will be taken care. All the new things will not be taken care. It has to be updated, revised. So that's how it has to be taken care. So even when you approach the attorney, it has to be that way. So when you plan something, you should see whether they do it, how often they do it, how often they make revisions, and do they charge for any revisions, and what happens after 7th year, like do they have to draft a new thing. Those kind of things you will have to ask or require.
Just for the trust to get executed, do we have to have the original, like the guardian who we selected or whoever it is, do they need to have the original in their hand or can they just have a copy of it and can they execute it? So, like say something happens to me, I have a trust and something happens to me, say I pick my brother to be the guardian, and does he need to have the original trust copy or can he just have a copy of it and show it to, for that to get executed? Do they need a original?
The copy should work. At least to start the process, the copy should work.
Copy should.
Because usually in the trust, you will have somebody called trust administrator. So when such and such thing happens, apart from the guardians, you have a trust administrator who will take care of the administration of the trust. So the copy should be sufficient. Administrator should take care of this. So are we done? Can I wrap it up, or do we have any immigration questions? Like, yes.
Recently we got a green card. So the question is that our bar is tied to one location here in Chicago. So if in case like in a month or two, if you want to move out somewhere else like Dallas or Phoenix, so like is there any hard rule like after getting a green card you have to stay these many months or these many years with the sponsoring employer?
Yes, usually just recommend, but I don't see a potential problem. But then ethically, or even not ethically, you are still subject to some kind of investigations, right? So the moment I get green card, I don't want to just jump to a employer. I just want to stick there for at least 180 days.
However, like you're still working with the same employer, but what if you change the location for the same employer? Like let's say the location change, not the employer change.
Same employer at different locations, we are always having consultants, so I don't find an issue there.
Even though your perm is tied to one location, one specific location here, but you are moving to a different location, right? Will it have any impact?
I don't think it should.
So there's this new H4EAD also, right, like which has, so can I know which is more advantageous, like what is it, like I know one has the dependency but the other doesn't, but is there like from if you want to start a business or something, this helps better than that, or which do you think, if you have an option to maintain both, which do you think is a better option? Versus the H1 or the H4EAD, which do you think is a I've heard that we can start, but we cannot work for that. No, we cannot start at all. Okay.
When it comes to H1, it is employer specific, position specific, and I would say location specific, because that's what your employer is filing NC for, and it is also like sponsored by the employer. So he is offering a position for a temporary period for 3 years, and he is offering you that position. So you are legally supposed to work for that particular position for that prescribed term. Whereas H4EAD, I don't find those things there. It's open, so you have more interest rate there. So again, it comes with its own tax. It's H1B dependent. H4 is a private beneficiary. At least for working purpose, I don't find an issue.
Even for business, if you want to start a business or something, H1 cannot do it at all.
No, they cannot.
So, I have green card and I have eligible for citizenship in 6 months. I would like to know whether to go for citizenship if it is an advantage or what do you suggest? Are any downsides?
Thanks. But that's a person's choice. I mean, that's a personal choice. Okay, when it comes in terms of monetary benefits, I don't find any big difference. As a green card, you're working as a consultant in any company, or like even if you're a permanent position, you're still earning the same thing. Just because you become a citizen, I don't find any great advantage. One great thing would be like probably you would be allowed to vote, which if at all you are interested, that would be a thing.
So any disadvantages with the properties in India or those kind of things?
Properties in India, suppose if unless a person wants to own an agricultural land, in India, that cannot be done when you're a citizen here. Meaning, you cannot buy new agricultural property while you're a citizen of the United States. Indian law doesn't allow that. US doesn't have a problem, but then in India, there might be various restrictions. So especially if you have agricultural lands, or you are interested to invest in there and buy more agricultural lands, then you are supposed to be. Otherwise, I don't find any potential.
Those can be inherited from parents.
Inheritance is not a problem here, but what they say is like additional investments. That's what an Indian law says. Like if I have 200K, I can just go there and buy farmland there. If I'm a citizen, that's what it says.
What if I have lands prior to become a citizen?
That's your land.
So India doesn't stop me to.
It is pre-owned, so
Oh.
it cannot be like retrospective.
So I think those are the things, right? Agricultural land and you cannot contest in the political.
Yeah, unless you have
Any other questions?
Time as such, if a spouse has up to like 40, then that allows the relatives, relationship spouse. Based on the
Anything comment on the lottery system of management?
Total like USA has received more than 230,000 H1B applications this year. Out of them, like 80,000 are selected.
Wow.
25.
How about the green card, how long it takes, when somebody else starts now, how long it takes, any comment?
The priority is like 2004 for EB2,
To the phone.
2004.
they move back.
They move back,
They just
retro.
come back. They have their own internal statistics, I don't know, but we are only moving. ILA is also moving that there might be some new policy changes which then we move back, yeah, let's move back. They have already done 2004, 2007 it was open, 2009 it was open for a brief period. So everybody who were in 2004, I think pretty much everything is done. But its own internal policy, the USCIS, I don't know. We are just waiting for their advice.
Maybe EB3 people are converting into EB2.
Our categories, they are as well. But all other categories, like they have various names, I would say.
Current is not EB2.
But they are like revamping, they are like doing various changes, so we are just waiting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For the information session. I think this topic, pretty much everybody in this room was interested from it, both from immigration perspective and the business interest. So definitely it's a good topic for everyone. Thank you, Ernie. And the last topic, not least,